Artlist.io.
All right, so let's have a conversation about how to start an apprenticeship, how to apply. Okay, this is a big question I get a lot. I travel around a fair bit for my day job, and I do interact with a lot of people around apprenticeship. Even though my job doesn't take me directly into that, I have a history of it. I'm known for it. I've put myself out for it, and I'm seeing a lot of it come through social media these days. So I definitely want to start answering this question a little more specifically. I've shared some videos around my story. That's definitely not the way to start an apprenticeship. I mean, it's fortunate if it happens to be the way you start. Sure, okay, nice to have someone else share that story or something crazy, I guess. But for the vast majority of individuals looking to start a trade, there's a few really simple ways. So the first thing I'm going to list for you is picking the trade. Now, maybe you're fortunate enough you already know what trade you're interested in and you want to explore. So don't think that this doesn't apply, but you can also just jump ahead to the next section of the video if you want, if you already know what it is. But I'm just going to give you some really quick resources. And I honestly think even if you do know what trade you want, you might want to consider looking at these resources. Okay. So first things first, let's talk about all you across Canada. So you're not sure what trade, you want to start digging into it. There isn't a lot of single source information that really isn't that deep, unfortunately. There is a few things though. Okay, so I'm going to point you to a few things. So the very first thing I'm going to send you to, and I'm just going to share my screen because that's kind of fun. I'm actually going to send you to Canada's Building Trades Unions, so CBTU. And you'll see on the screen here their website. I took it straight to the apprenticeship part. So they have the ability to go into an apprenticeship tab, head into this, and actually what it does, it lets you pick by province. Now, the provinces you don't see highlighted, you actually can search Nova Scotia, and you can search New Brunswick, and you can search, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland. You can search those provinces individually for apprenticeship, and I think there is resources very similar to what I'm going to share with you here. Don't quote me, search, tell me if you find it, send me a link. I'd really appreciate it. So being biased from Ontario, I'm going to show you Ontario. You click Ontario, they give you a link to head over to what's called ctaontario.com. And in this website, it'll actually give you the opportunity to go through all of the construction trades. You can actually learn about each of the trades. There's a highlight video, kind of how the site works, what it does. There's even a bit of a skill platform. In fact, all of these platforms, here we are, CTAO. So you can go to Construction Training Apprenticeship Ontario. You can see here opportunity to get a highlight of kind of what the site and tools do. There is a bunch of tools in here that help you in terms of planning, so you can explore the trades. You can actually build up a little bit of your skill set, essential skills, being ready for the trade concepts and stuff, getting ready for aptitude test writing, entrance test writing, that kind of stuff. There's even some opportunities to actually apply to the trades and navigate those applications right here on this one spot. Don't get a lot of these opportunities out there, okay? Taking you directly into it, you can see exploring the trades, and each trade actually has its own spot to go into, and you can pick a trade. I don't know, let's pick on this for a second. I'm going to pick on heat frost insulator because that's who I am. And there's some high level attributes. You can learn more, and learning more should take you directly into, just like all the other provinces, they'll give you an opportunity to go deeper into this trade. There's printable information, there's video content, all kinds of stuff, take you through responsibilities, attributes, where you work, what the entrance requirements are, how the trade apprenticeship program works, and the wage rate, which is really important. A little more about the trade. And there's all kinds of links and opportunities to engage with this site, just like they have in each province. Very similar method of doing all this. Okay, so that's one method. And that'll be a really quick one in Canada. It's going to get you through the unionized construction sector. I am hugely biased towards that, particularly for apprenticeship training. But again, that might not be for everybody. So I definitely encourage you to explore that. And there's definitely the opportunity to go into each of those trades, look at their content to understand exactly more about the trade. And that's the first step, right? Because then this is what you want to do. This is the trade you've picked for any particular reason. You found some kinship. You then even can take the information around that trade, jump on YouTube, and search the trade up. And there's lots of testimonials, lots of day in the life type videos out there that people put out for those particular trades. And you can really go down a rabbit hole and get a really good idea of what you might be exploring and looking to get yourself into. Super helpful. Now, if you live in the US, I can share with you a tool that I've come across. And again, I'm biased here. The whole union concept is obviously where I like to send individuals if possible. So you can see the North American Building Trade Unions, and they have a lot of really cool stuff on their site as a great starting point to start searching what it is I might want to do. They have amazing programs. Their apprenticeship readiness program is like second to none. Really cool. Some of the work I've done in the past around workforce and developing like trade ready, apprenticeship ready style programming, working with individuals about who have are looking to build their own programming. How do you measure success? A lot of it has come from framework and concepts out of this program and others like it. Absolutely. So they take you through some pieces around here on some competencies, getting ready for some basic math. They have physical courses all across the country, really cool stuff. They also go deeper dives into each of the trades and can link you by state to those opportunities that I shared across Canada. So another resource right at your fingertips to start. Now, those are two places. And there's a third place actually that I'm wearing their merch right now, apprenticesearch.com. And this site, actually, what I like about this group, aside from them been doing this for a really long time, they actually are a little bit further than just construction, which is nice because as much as I obviously have familiarity with construction and I can give lots of that insight, there are a lot more trades. In Ontario alone, there's 144 trades that are registered. So for example, I went into automotive glass technician, so I should just probably take you back to home. So you land on the website for apprenticesearch.com, and it really has a neat mechanism that connects employers and apprentices. If you are a job seeker or whether you're an employer, it works for either side of the equation. There's abilities to register. There's exploration and readiness programs they offer, and they do with all of the trades, like every trade. So what's cool about this is you can go over down and look at the sectors, right? Because we forget, yes, there's 35 maybe plus construction trades, okay, but in Ontario there's over 140 trades, so that means there's 100 plus trades that are not in construction, maybe associated but not in. Maybe you have an interest to look somewhere else, and so maybe you're interested in working in the motive power sector, which again, that's not just cars, right? There's a lot of other things inside of motive power. And it starts breaking it all down. So the motive trades, you can see everything from getting into brake techs, glass, getting into fuel systems, the service tech, and it goes on and on. You can view more and see more and more opportunities. And what's cool when you actually take truck and coach, there's a good one. So click on truck and coach, gives you the trade class designation. So it helps you search it in other jurisdictions if you're not in Ontario or you want to be somewhere else. They have related trades. They actually take you through the same concept as what we saw on Canadian Building Trades and NAB2, related skills, interest, values, what prep and training can help you. This is key. Okay, I'm going to talk about this in the next step, but this is really key stuff to understand. A bit of an idea of your future as a coach and truck tech. I would also say, again, flip on YouTube, take the specific trade, throw it in the search, type in like day in a life or experience or whatever, and there's lots of content out there, probably not showing up in your feed necessarily. You need to search it, but it is out there. I like this piece too, like apprentice wages. There's a range, right? 28 to 42. And I'm not going to, guess why that range is what it is. It is specifying fully qualified workers are earning 28 to 42. You know what? I'm going to reach out to apprenticesearch.com, get them on the podcast, and we'll do an episode in kind of how they break all this down, where they get their data, how this data is broken across. But I always like this piece too, right? A bit of a self-rating, some things that are, looked out for in being a coach and truck and coach technician. So things that help you feel a little confident about your exploration. And then they also give you a sense of things like other trades you might want to look into. So great exploration, great dive. You can take, once you have this concept, like knowing that truck and coach tech 310T, like that's the designation of that trade in Canada. So that lets you really dig deeper into researching that trade. And it's like everything, people spend a lot of time and effort to research getting into university or college. They look up the schools, they look up the locations, they look up the real estate, they look up like what restaurants and pubs and transportation. And there's a lot of work that goes into prepping yourself to go to school. And remarkably, I've worked with a lot of people over the years who put very little time into exploring which trade. I hear usually 5 or 6 different trades. I hear everything from electrician, carpenter, plumber. Okay, cool. That's, you got a few, right? I hear someone that wants to work with cars. I mean, that's literally how they define it. And I just showed you the amount of stuff inside of motor power, right? We saw over 30 trades. So you have to be a little bit more definitive than that to think about what does that look like. And then someone that might want to be a hairstylist or a cook, maybe a chef. And there's a lot more to that too, by the way. Like those were deep dives in the service sector that we didn't even get into. So take the time, jump on those particular tools or other tools like those, and then line up 1, 2, 3, like line a few trades up, because the application methods for every trade, unfortunately, are a little bit different. Some might be a pre-trades or a trade program at post-secondary at college. It could be a trade that's apprenticeable and you go right into it, like I talked about previously in my own career, where I was able to apply to the union, go through their application process, which was a bit old back then, but now they have one more defined, and that gets me right into an apprenticeship. So, and have a limited skill set. So these are a couple of things. So you got to find that trade. Now, once you found the trade, you got step 2. Step 2 is looking at those prerequisites. It's easy to overlook them. Look at them. Look at, do you need a grade 12? Are there any particular courses you need inside of grade 12? A lot of times you are going to need a physics, a math. They also want to see English. They want to be able to have communication, reading and understanding document use, like stuff like that. It might not be a grade 12 English. It might be something else, but have a look. The trades work very hard to keep up with the education system to make sure there's continuity between prerequisites and what's being used on the job in the field and what's being taught in the trade schools. So there is a lot of effort into that. Pay attention to that. Look at those things. If you need to brush things up, if you need to pick up a credit, if you need to find an equivalent to a credit. I mean, not everybody takes physics. That's a great example. A lot of trades like to see that. You want to be competitive. And why I bring this up is because a lot of people are applying to trades. You know, we hear about a shortage. We hear about the concerns of not having people in the trades. Well, I will tell you, coming from the trades, yes, there is challenges with this supply, the demand, and it has a lot to do with a lot of moving parts. And we'll get into that in a lot of episodes that guests are coming to understand those nuances by sector specifically, by regions, etc. But there's a whole slew of things happening there, that there's not enough journey persons, but that means there's also not enough apprentices in the current pipeline, but you just can't make a journeyman tomorrow when one retires or moves on or leaves for some particular reason, changes careers, whatever. You just can't make one tomorrow. You got to train them and get experience. And so bringing a brand new hire does not replace a journey person. And that is a challenge amongst labor supply and will always be a challenge amongst labor supply. Always has been. Things are getting better. Lots of efforts to improve that, but it will continue to be like that. But what I say that to you is because as an applicant, specifically I'm talking to you that are applying, that means there's still a lot of people applying. But if you don't have the prerequisites, you can get lost in the shuffle real fast and not be aware of it. So it's like a lot of things. You apply for jobs. Sometimes you hear back, sometimes you don't. In trades, if you're blanket applying and you haven't taken the time to do your homework to connect your skills and abilities, connect your prerequisites, highlight those pieces when you apply, that's a big problem. Okay, you're not going to show up. That's easy not to show up on the radar. Secondly, you need to watch and look at these trades. So a lot of these trades, you know, we went through those really quickly. That CBTU website, for example, in Canada, you get to go to the province. The province, you can go to the trade. The trade will give you the link to where you actually can apply, whether it's a union training hall, an employer training center, or it's a college, whatever the mechanism is, it'll be there. It'll show you how to apply, where to apply. Now go look at those sites because they will tell you when to apply. There's a section in almost every one of those sites will say applications, and they're either taking open applications all the time or they have specific times. So I know one particular UA local union in Ontario today on June 8th, and they're a couple of days out, and they're going to open up their applications, and that is their window of time to apply. And they're going to have a window of time. It's posted on their website. This is when we're taking applications. Here's what you need. The process looks like this, A, B, C, D. These are the steps. This is the criteria, the process, everything. It's clear as day. But right now it's posted. Now, when they're not taking applicants, this process isn't open, that's not posted. So you have to inquire, is there a process or isn't there? Sometimes you'll have to send a general email. Is there an application process? Is there an application window? Is there an intake schedule? Maybe it's posted, maybe it isn't. Ask. Shows your interest, it shows you're intrigued, and it shows you're paying attention to how people hire. It's really important. Show you're in tune with it. Walking around with a blanket, the old school way was get a big stack of resumes and just drop them off everywhere and hope for the best. Now you can spam email like none other and apply. But if you're not asking legitimate questions of your interest and intent, they can disappear in junk folders. They could randomly end up there anyways. Doesn't mean they're going to necessarily be read. And if you're not putting the time in to ask specific questions and just dropping a resume through an email, likelihood that's not going to get looked at, or it's going to get put on the side of somebody's desk until they find the reason to look at it. Okay, there's processes in place for a lot of these application methods. It's like applying to college and university. You don't just randomly drop off a letter that says I'm interested. There's a process. There's an application intake process. The trades are no different. And that's the reality. You have to dig into these things. So you've dug into the process. You found the trade. You found your application window. You figured that all out. Now the fun part is you actually have to look at applying. That means resume prep, possibly a cover letter, CV, whatever they call it these days. Google trade-related resumes. And big pieces on this, you want to absolutely highlight your education. You want to highlight any work experience. Honestly, any work experience. Don't be shy of it. Explain what you did well. Like, definitely put out your skills and abilities. We're looking at those construction essential skills, right? Accountability, being a self-starter, being great at timekeeping, being a solid communicator, being good at taking direction, being able to take on new challenges, asking clear questions, taking initiative. I know it sounds basic, but I'm serious. People have a really hard time putting this stuff into words. Put a little bit of effort into that, because that is the first impression you're probably getting, because most of it's electronically. Secondly, if it needs prep for an aptitude or entrance test, there's lots of tools online to do that, and start looking them up. Don't pay for anything. Don't log into register or anything like that. You don't need to do anything like that. There's lots of that stuff out there. It's free. And don't get upset. You probably can take prep stuff from different provinces for specific trades that are going to get you pretty close to being as prepped as you need to be for an entrance test. Don't turn away from that. Some of the trades themselves, you can even ask, do you recommend any particular prep guides or prep, vehicles, websites, whatever? Ask. They might even already have it on there. But if not, ask. It shows your intent, your interest, and your commitment to want to be a strong applicant. So very worth noting. Now, once you've got all that figured out, then we're going to get into the actual interview application process. Now, I'm not doing that today. That's a whole nother conversation, because interviewing for a trade sounds simple, and on the surface it can be, but your ability to leave a good or horrible impression is very easy. And not articulating and communicating yourself from day one as an apprentice is probably the biggest mistake you're ever going to make, and set you up in a really tough spot for people who want to put a lot of time, energy, and effort into you. Don't ever forget, an apprenticeship, a lot of people put time, money, and energy into helping you succeed. Yes, there's lots that you have to do, but there's a lot of investment into you. So you have to understand, an aptitude test, an entrance interview, that kind of stuff are your few spots to convince the people to put a lot of money into you over the next 4 or 5 years. So really, really important time. Do your homework, have the prerequisites ready, put together a strong application, and look at their application steps, processes. Do that homework so you're ready to apply. It's applying season, I'll tell you that right now. In June 2024, absolutely applying season. Get looking. Over the next couple of months, you'll see lots of it. So high school, college graduates, if you're looking at the trades, maybe you're not looking to go back to post-secondary, dig into these systems, dig into those sites and others like it, and start hunting and looking. The opportunities are there on our fingertips. Huge investment happening across this country, continues to be, into all kinds of things, infrastructure, energy, retrofits. The whole process right now around construction is absolutely huge. So don't get discouraged. Put those things out there. Do that homework to apply. And the next podcast I'll throw on, we're going to have a conversation about the actual aptitude test, getting through that process, and the in-person interview part, which is super huge. I don't want to shortchange that. Anyways, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Don't forget Canadian Building Trade Unions, nap2.org, and then of course apprenticesearch.com. Great resources for you to start digging into, figuring out exactly which trade, what do you need, what the opportunities are, how to actually apply, where you can apply, and what it is you're going to be expecting as you try to go into those trades. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Take care.